If you are not yet familiar with the concept of fake news, today you will learn everything about it, namely where it comes from and how it spreads. And of course, each will receive its official refutation. Welcome to StopFake.
Watch this.
The American publication Bloomberg released an article titled "Ukraine's Struggle for Arms and Attention Gives Putin an Opening." It discusses the meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, during which they discussed further arming of the Ukrainian military, considering the deepening situation in Gaza. The conversation touched upon the occupied territories, the possibility of peaceful negotiations, and an intriguing survey asking whether Ukrainians were willing to cede parts of the territory to the aggressor. The last point caused a burst of sensational headlines stating that Ukrainians consider it necessary to compromise on part of the territory for the sake of peace with Russia. The quote certainly appeared in the Russian publication TASS. Lost in translation or manipulation? Maybe we should give Russians a dictionary as a gift. This article, or more specifically the translation and interpretation of certain parts of it, seems to be a classic example of manipulation. In reality, the publication analyzes the situation of the Ukraine front and the sentiments of the population, but there is no information in it about the supposed widespread desire of Ukrainians to give up Ukrainian territories for the sake of peace.
Zelensky may not be thinking about his negotiating strategy for peace talks just yet. However, polls show a small, but growing minority of Ukrainians is coming around to the idea that territorial concessions to Russia might be an inevitable price for peace.
So, the publication reflects a growing concern among people regarding possible inevitable territorial concessions based on an official study. Yes, in October, it showed that compared to May 2023, the percentage of people willing to give up territories increased from 10% to 14%. However, the absolute majority of the population, 80%, strongly opposes such an outcome to the end of the war.
Ukraine does not trade territories, Ukraine does not trade people, that's it. Everyone who is here, who participates in the Crimean platform, who supported the peace formula, who wants to end the criminal and unprovoked aggression of the Russian Federation. You all affirm that human life is priceless. It is very important.
Watch this.
If one fake doesn't pass the test of facts, the another one immediately appears. In addition to the fake information about selling weapons to Hamas militants from Ukraine, there have been reports in the media claiming the sale of chemical weapons. The Egyptian publication El Bashair reported this. The article was based on an investigation by journalist Youssef Awad, who received a recording of a conversation allegedly between a Hamas militant named Ahmed and a supposed member of the Azov battalion named Nazar. Their communication supposedly lasted from the end of July to mid-August 2023. If we believe the photos of their correspondence at the beginning of August, several members of Hamas were reportedly at training sessions with the Azov battalion in Ukraine. The conversation notes that Hamas fighters were learning tactics and methods of modern warfare, urban combat, drone operation, and use of chemical weapons there. For clarification, I suggest turning to terrorism experts. Like in the most similar fakes, there is a sense of the Kremlin hand here, precisely due to the mention of Azov, which Russian propaganda continues to portray as the main symbol of supposed neo-Nazism in Ukraine. The Office of the President of Ukraine emphasizes that such reports, even if they appear in the foreign press, are a result of Russian propaganda efforts.
According to the investigation, this summer a group of Hamas militants was trained in the Azov training camp in western Ukraine. This information is a lie, and its goal is to cast a shadow over Ukraine at a time when Russia supports Hamas terrorists at the state level.
The allegations of Ukraine using biological or chemical weapons were voiced by the aggressor country right at the start of the full-scale war to discredit Ukraine and halt the assistance provided by allied countries. This matter was even brought to the United Nations Security Council. Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield of the United States referred to such discussions as a colossal waste of time.
It doesn't matter how many meetings Russia tries to call on this subject. And it doesn't matter how hard it ratchets up its propaganda machine. We must not divert UN resources toward a baseless investigation. And we must not allow Russia's tactics to distract us from its brutal war of aggression. To do so would be to give in to lies and undermine the credibility and the dignity of this council.
Watch this.
The following news could inspire Agatha Christie to write a mystical novel. The German publication Bild released an article resembling a mystical detective story. It claims that the USA and Germany have developed a secret plan concerning Ukraine. Supposedly, President Joe Biden and Chancellor Olaf Scholz aim to compel Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to initiate negotiations with Russia. To execute this plan, Washington and Berlin allegedly agreed to supply Ukraine with weaponry solely for maintaining the front lines, not for reclaiming territories. The article's author, Julian Robke, cites only anonymous sources who additionally claimed that in Germany and the USA there exists a supposed Plan B involving freezing the war at the current borders. The narrative that neither Ukraine nor the West can defeat the Russian army is being pushed by Kremlin propagandists. Currently, they are threatening further annexation of Ukrainian territories.
Russia, having accumulated forces and means, can carry out an offensive, that is, take some more part of the territory. Here there is a risk that at this moment somewhere out there they will take out a white flag from their armpit and shout, "Let's sit down at the negotiating table." The story is not new for us.
Certainly, the US State Department has refuted the existence of a secret plan with Germany. They emphasized that only Ukraine has the right to decide whether to sit at the negotiation table with Russia or not.
The Bild story I thought was intriguing, but no, there's no US policy. We've always said that this is a matter for Ukraine to decide. We decide nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. And I think that the reality here is we see no indication that Russia is willing to entertain substantive, real peace negotiations.
Given the significant resonance from the article, Deutsche Welle sent an official request for comment from the German government. In their response, the government stated that the investigation published by Bild about the secret plan of Scholz and Biden has no grounds.
From the very beginning of the Russian war of aggression, the United States and Germany were committed to ending Russian aggression and achieving a just peace in Ukraine. And this cannot be an imposed peace. Germany stands firmly on the side of Ukraine. We will support Ukraine as long as necessary to defend against Russian aggression.
Watch this.
And now from simple numbers to six-digit ones. One of the most widespread fakes was about the First Lady of Ukraine buying jewelry worth over $1 million during an official visit to the United States with the president. Interestingly, screenshots of receipts from the store were spread by the little-known Nigerian publication The Nation. The dramatic plot of the article claims that in September, Olena Zelenska visited the Cartier boutique on Fifth Avenue, the city's most famous shopping street. There, she allegedly confronted a saleswoman with the words, "Who said I need your opinion?" and complained to the boutique manager. These details were shared on social media by the saleswoman herself, Janet, who was reportedly fired after only 2 weeks on the job.
When I showed her some of our pieces, she just shouted at me, directly on my face. "Who said that I need your opinion?" I was just like, told I need to take different approach, but she just asked for the manager. I don't know what she said to him, but the next day I got fired. What the f***?
Quite a sharp turn for a Cartier employee. Hundreds of clones of this article immediately appeared in the Russian press. Yes, the original source of the fake news is mentioned as the Nigerian publication The Nation. This raises suspicions that Russian propagandists might be behind it. The point is that this publication is an exact visual copy of a reputable American magazine. Such a cheap trick could confuse anyone by giving the fake an illusion of credibility. Newsweek decided to look into this issue and conduct an investigation. So, on September 22, the date indicated on the receipt, Olena Zelenska was in Canada, not in New York. Moreover, even the day before, she was hundreds of kilometers away from the Cartier boutique in Washington, where she met with the First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden. Besides, fact-checkers discovered that Instagram page of Janit was created only in August. Currently, her profile is private with no post and fewer than 200 followers. Most notably, their profile picture features Putin.
Watch this.
The spread of misinformation is rapid and affects everyone. Protect yourself and your loved ones. Thank you for being with StopFake. Goodbye.